glad you asked this, because this is one of these things that like one of the last like acceptable bastions, I guess, of like angst within the community, where people were really I mean, as somebody last year when I used PGX extensively, if you say something about PGX positively in a community group, oh my goodness, you didn't know there was so much dark side hate that will freely flow. Oh man, why do you even waste your time? And well, there's a dumpster fire. And it's like, and you start asking these people, have you ever used them? And no. And all they ever do is reference like the same two examples that were done. And those two examples that they reference are either from the past or have been potentially, there's questions about them. The first thing that's important to know when it comes to any grading company, first of all, grading is subjective, right? It's done by humans. If the purpose is that you're saying, hey, I'm going to sell a book to you, and I can tell you that it's a near mint, and we see it all the time, 1 billion listings on eBay, it's a near mint, whatever, and you get it, and then it's not. The idea is that a grading company is a third party who's looking at it, well, and giving you their idea on what they think it is. Well, it doesn't matter what the grading company is. They're all a third party, and they're all doing that. And whether it's EGS, PGX, CGC, CBCS, right? So From that aspect, they all achieve that goal. The problem is everybody seems to think that because they use the same 1 to 10 scale, that a 9.8 with one company means the same thing as a 9.8 on the other. The fact of the matter is they have different criterias. Some of them, or most of them, are very guarded about telling you what their criteria is. I mean, if you go to CGC's website and you look up what their criteria is, it is bare minimum. I mean, this is a very good. Very good is like it has like somewhere. What does that mean? How am I supposed to really know? And so you have people who don't know what the criteria is, guessing whether or not this is right or whatever else. But recently there was an interview with their head grader that aired on YouTube on one of these channels, and he actually shed a little bit of light into it, which was very eye-opening to me. And that was essentially that for them, a book starts at a 9.8. That's like the high grade. That's a book that would have gone through the normal manufacturing and handling. And then a 9.9 would be a book where it has plus attributes, where when upon examination, it's like, wow, we really see no examples of this ever being handled, and no examples of mechanical or like only the slightest example of any kind of production, thing. And then for a 10, there's like no, how did this even get out of mass production type of thing, this kind of clean, right? And you can understand, okay, well, if that's your set, that a 10 really is that pristine, then you understand why it's so hard to get, because manufacturing inherently is going to introduce some flaws into the book. Fair enough. Now there's a whole different ball of wax when we start talking about what's a 9.8, 9.6, 9.4, and how they've changed over time and what that is. And there are things. But when you go to like a company like PGX, where they're very clear about what their criteria is, they follow the Overstreet descriptions, and it's a very detailed description of what they are, but they start at a 10. Every book has a potential of hitting a 10, and then they take away points. So just from the stat point of where you're going to start, that means you're going to get more. So yeah, I have 9 9s and 10s in my collection. They're all PGX books. Excuse me. So that's just fine. But I mean, for me, they're in my collection, and that's what they are. And then CBCS is similar to CGC, I assume, based on the fact that they kind of, how they got created and everything else, but you don't really know. How a company then makes their grading notes available, I think the transparency is an added bonus to whether or not you can trust a grade. CBCS, I give them props. That QR code's on the back of every single thing that you can scan it and you can get access to greater notes. Doesn't matter whether you're just looking at it on the store shelf, whether you own it, you sent it in, whatever. PGX, you have to fill out an online form. You can get the graders notes. You can actually nowadays ask to have them put on the back, and I have several where they are right on the back. And again, it adds some transparency to understand why a grade is that way. But then you get CGC, who graders notes are available if the grader feels like logging their notes.
Right.
And then you can have them if you sent the book in. But if you didn't send the book in, you got to pay to get access to those graders notes. I mean, even if you own it now, and that's just, I mean, it's kind of cheesy to me. But it is, hey, it's their business. That's what happens when you're the top of the food chain and considered the standard bearer. You can charge more and do these types of things. I do like the concept. I don't know if it's really true right now. Well, they're so far behind. The concept that they claim that 3 people grade each comic and then come to a collaborative score. I don't know if that's really the case right now on modern books, because we have seen an increasing number of people reporting various issues. I've done some before. I have a video I did on one where I got was a 9.8, and I'm looking at it and there's no way that this should be a 9.8. But the same thing's true. I think anybody who uses anything, you're going to find examples. It's subjective.
Sure.
Things the books can get damaged in the holders when they're shipping around without causing damage to the holder. There are those types of things that come about. So.